Alright, so hey everyone, welcome back to another video of Salesforce Bytes, and in this video we'll specifically talk about how can you configure a sales process in Salesforce, right? A sales process corresponds to a functionality that comes from Sales Cloud, and any kind of Sales Cloud implementation has these objects, right? Accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, and then you might have tasks, you might have quotes, contracts, and then campaigns. So imagine a business who's kind of selling a product or a service, right? They would have to do a campaign, and then they would get prospects. These prospects, or rather leads, would get converted into opportunities. And once these opportunities are closed, which means they become our customers and they can be our recurring customers, right? So that cycle is basically nothing but a typical Sales Cloud implementation life cycle. And for this particular cycle to work well, and for this particular cycle to execute and help sales representatives understand whether a customer is a potential customer, or a customer is keen to buy our product or our service, or how close are we to closing a deal. So these kind of things can be taken care or configured through sales process, right? So I'll go to setup. Let me do something. Let's switch to Lightning first of all, and on setup we'll simply type sales processes, right? Let's go to setup here, and on the quick find box I'll just type sales process, right? So you see under feature sales I get an option that's called sales processes. Let's click on it. So the very first thing I'm prompted to do is that I have to create a new sales process, but before that this is Safari and it is blocking me to access it. So let me go to Chrome. Let's log in. Yeah, and let's now try to find the sales process, and let's open sales process. Cool. So if you see this statement, it says that you can create and maintain your sales processes that will be used with your organization, and it contains the stages of an opportunity that follows the sales cycle, right? And after creating a sales process, you can associate it with the opportunity record types. Cool. So let's see how this goes. So this is for the opportunity object is what we understand right now. So if I go to new, I'll get to create a new sales process, right? So I'll say my customer pipeline process. Let me name this particular name and say this process tracks all my customers from the US, right? So let's click on save. So once I click on the save button, this takes me to a new page wherein the opportunity stage values. If you are not familiar with opportunity, let me just open the opportunity record, and that should give you some idea. So if I open a new opportunity, right, what you see is that you have a status, or rather a stage that currently you are on the prospecting stage. It will take 15 days. Qualification, needs analysis, value proposition, and you slowly and gradually you reach a stage wherein you can close the opportunity and complete the deal, right? You generate revenue for your business, right? This stage or this cycle might vary for different customers, right? For example, you might have value proposition for only your US customers, and for all your customers based out of UK, you don't need the needs analysis stage. It directly goes from qualification to ID decision makers, right? Or maybe for a country like Canada, you might not need any of these. You might need just 3 stages, from prospecting directly to proposal and negotiation and finally closed, which means if you are on prospecting, you're already at the 25% stage, right? And then if you reach proposal, you might have reached 50% of the stage. So your processes might depend based on the kind of records, based on the kind of customers you're dealing with. And that is why you have sales processes, right? So let's go to setup. Let's type in sales process one more time. Let's click on the customer pipeline process, and here I see that all the stages have been selected. But for example, let's say our customer pipeline process does not need the value proposition, right? And if you notice that the stages have specific values. They have the stage names followed by whether their current status is open or closed. So all of this is open until the last stage, which can either be won or lost, which means either you won the deal or you lost it, right? And that's how you see the percentage, basically 10%, qualification another 10, and then you have probably reached 50% when you are in value proposition. That's kind of giving you the probability of converting your prospect into a customer, right? So if you are at the stage that's negotiation and review, you are kind of sure, and that's why it's 90% that you might be able to close it. But if things go wrong and you lose it, then it goes back to 0%. And if you're able to win it, it is 100% closed one, right? So for example, let's say I don't want the needs analysis and I don't want the ID decision makers for this particular process. I'll say save. And this saves my sales process, right? If I click on this sales process again and I see that same values here. Now let's go and assign the record type sales process mapping. Let's do that. So if I go to opportunity object, if I open the opportunity object, I should see record types here. So let's go to record types and I'll create a new record types. Okay, I'll create a new record type. I'll call it US customers only, US customers funnel, right? And then I get to choose a sales process. You see, this is a mandatory field that you get to choose, which means for all the US customers, or rather the record type that we are serving here will cater the customer pipeline process, sales process, right? And that should be active. I'll just make it available to the system admin. We are logged in as a system admin right now, and it will be default because this is the first one, right? Let's click on next. So I'm just making a record type available. That's fine. I'll just choose the opportunity layout and I'll click on save. Let's say save and new. Let's create one more record type. Cool. So this is duplicate record type, which means I might have a record type here. Yeah. I saved it twice, right? I clicked on the save button and then the save and new. So this is created. Let's do something. Let's create one more record type. And the next record type would be UK customers. So UK customers funnel. And here I want to create a new process, but for now I'll just leave it none. Let's see if I can save it with none. I'll say make it available and let's say next. So it asks me for a sales process. That's a mandatory value. So we are good. Like this would be a required field. I'll set it to customer pipeline for now, but I'll change it. I'll choose the opportunity layout. That should be fine. Let's click on save. So I have created two record types and I just have one sales process, right? Let's go back to sales process and create one more. So this will be for the UK customers. So let's go to sales process and here let's click on new and call it customer UK pipeline process, right? Click on save, and here let's say that we don't have perception analysis for the UK customers. I'll click on save, and this is my second sales process configured. Let's go back to opportunity and let's map our record type with the right opportunity sales process. Record types, UK customers funnel. Click on edit, and I'll change the sales process. Cool. Let's click on save. Now let's try to test it out, how things look like. Cool. Let's go back to opportunities and let's click on new. I get two options. If I choose the US customers funnel and I say next, let's take a look at the stages. So you will notice that the ID decision maker is not here, and there's another one that we took out, right? That's also not here. Whereas if I try to create a UK sales proposition, or rather UK customer, I should see that the perception analysis will not be here. So you see, that's how you are able to modify your stages. This is not just modifying your stages, but this is kind of, lining up your sales process, basically. The steps, you might need another stage that might come in only for UK guys, right? So you could add it and you can add it on the sales process. That will take care of your entire stage mapping. Cool. So that was how you can configure a sales process, and this is specifically for a Sales Cloud implementation. This is found on the opportunity object. Similarly, you have service processes also. So we'll talk about that in another lecture. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Bye.